Hey everyone, hope you're doing well, and I just wanted to make another video, something out of the ordinary kind of, and let me explain. I'm trying to develop this channel, and that's pretty hard to do. Like when you have a full-time job and you're trying to like make video and content, it's a lot harder than it looks. Even my like rudimentary videos. And so, I do a lot of like watch reviews and a lot of like unboxings and stuff like that. I've got the Panerai 000 base on today. But I was just, browsing YouTube, and I very quickly realized people really like knives, and they really like knife reviews and knife content. And that's interesting to me because that's been a hobby of mine for a long time. It kind of took a break in 2020, but I thought maybe some people would be interested in listening to some thoughts on a couple of knives I have. And these specifically are OTF knives. So OTF, for those who may not be into the knife lingo, are called out the front. It's in contrast to like a more typical knife, which is, I guess, OTS, or out the side. So this is a typical, folding knife. This is just like kind of like a no-name Kershaw I've had for like 2 decades. But it's got a locking mechanism here. The blade kind of swings freely, and then it just clicks, and then it's like it's solid right there. And if you want to close it, you just depress that locking mechanism, close that back up, and you're good to go. It's got some little thumb things to make it easier to work. And so kind of like a inexpensive everyday knife. It's lasted me for like decades now, and I'm sure I'm going to continue to have it. This is the kind of one that just gets thrown in the everything drawer in the kitchen. You know what I'm talking about. So this is a more typical, folding knife, kind of like a generic pocket knife. So I'm going to put that to the side and bring these back out. So these are called OTF knives, out the front. And so you can see that both of these are just like a solid case with a hole in the front. And they both have a triggering mechanism. And you just basically push this triggering mechanism until the blade deploys. And then you can pull back on it and the blade goes back in. So this triggering mechanism is on the side of the knife, and this one is more on the kind of on the face of the knife, so to speak. And so this one, go forward, just like that, go forward, it'll fire, and then you can bring it back and it can come back into the blade nice and safe. There's some advantages to these knives and some disadvantages. One of the big advantages to OTF knives is one-handed use. So for this knife, I can have it. And if I'm doing something with this hand, if I need to cut, I take this out of my pocket and I can deploy it like this. But to put it away, there's no way to easily. I guess I can kind of like do this and put it away. But usually most of the times to do it safely, you're gonna do it with 2 hands and put it away like that. An OTF, of course, you can just take it out, cut, do whatever you need to do, put it back in, and then you can, go about your thing. It's easy one-hand use. The other big advantage of these knives is that they're just like exceedingly cool, but they're also exceedingly expensive. Like this Kershaw is probably, I don't know, like $20, $30, maybe something like that. This knife is from a brand called Microtech, based out of, I think, Georgia. And this knife is called a Microtech Ultratech. And, really lightweight, like a very cool case right here, black anodized, got the cool symbol right there. It's got a glass break on the back, so, if you're trapped in a car, you can, break out like that. And, of course, got that awesome action. And so the Microtech Ultratech, I think I paid almost like $300 for this knife, and I looked up some prices, and I think it still goes for around $300. But like I said, a really cool knife. I don't know, more like a collector knife though, more like a showpiece or just something to like have fun with, because like unlike this knife, like so the Ultratech is sharp on both sides. My Kershaw, I can touch this side. It's only sharp on this side, so it's very good for cutting like this. Knives like this, which are sharpened on both sides with a point, are useful for only usually one or two, really only one thing. So that's that knife. So this is about a $300 OTF knife. I would say if you're interested in out the front knives, Microtech is probably the best place to start. Exceedingly well built knives, just really good quality, good action. There's several other companies too. All right, this other knife is something a little bit different. You can see that it's a little bit larger than that Microtech. It's a knife called a Deadlock, Deadlock, made by a custom knife maker out of Idaho. I think his name is Gavin Hawk, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is like a custom knife. So this knife was $300. Like this knife was over $1,000. And so what am I getting out of this knife that I'm sort of not getting out of the Microtech? Well, the action on these triggers is much better on the Deadlock. That's the first thing. So it's a very smooth action, very easy to use. You have a nice large button to activate, because one thing you'll notice on some of these knives, on these little small buttons, God, it really wears down your hands. Also, if you have gloves on or something, sometimes it's hard to kind of like catch it right there. Again, small has advantages too, but that's one thing to think about. The other thing that the Deadlock does very well is it effectively eliminates one of the key problems with OTF knives, which is the stability of the blade. And so like, if you look at this, like this blade is just like solid. I can't move the blade at all. And so there's a patented mechanism inside the knife that pushes the blade and locks it in a position where it can't be manipulated like that. So it's very solid, like it's almost like a fixed blade knife, as opposed to the Microtech, which is still excellent build quality. But look, you can see that there's some movement. It's minor, but there's some easy, definite movement in the blade, whereas this one, no movement at all. So these are just like two knives out of my collection, expensive knives, a $300 Microtech Ultratech, and over $1,000 Gavin Hawk Deadlock. And both are really cool. They represent kind of like two ends of the spectrum when it comes to this kind of knife, these OTF knives. Now, are there OTF knives that are cheaper than the Microtech? Absolutely. Like you can get under $100 OTF knives, but I mean, I think when it comes to OTF, it's not like a regular pocket knife. You really rapidly notice the difference in quality as you increase the price. I mean, like you rapidly notice it. So something under $100 is going to feel very much different in your hand versus something that's over over $300. And then certainly something like this, which is kind of like the last word in OTF knives. You'll feel the quality, you'll feel the difference. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this quick look at just kind of like a random thing that I'm finding out people are really into. I have a lot of knives, and so maybe I'll do a couple more of these videos if there's some interest. Anyway, these are two of the knives in my collection: the Microtech Ultratech and the Gavin Hawk Deadlock OTF. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care, be safe, and stay sharp, kids. Bye.